A comparable market analysis is one of the most important skills you can learn as a realtor, whether you're working with a buyer or a seller or even a renter or landlord. It is literally the difference between your listing sitting on the market for months or getting offers instantly. I was taught by a top appraiser years ago, and ever since then, I've never had a listing sit on the market at all. But it's not just important for listings, it's also very important for buyers as well, and I'm going to explain that in the video. So a comparable market analysis is also called CMA. So if you hear that word CMA, they're talking about the comps, the comparable market analysis for a buyer or for a seller. And the whole goal behind a CMA is to basically find the comparable properties around the area within the last couple months so you can accurately get the purchase price of a home. Now, most agents think that this is only important if you have a listing so you can list the property appropriately, but that's not true, because if you're working with a buyer, it's also extremely important as well. Think about it this way. If you have a buyer and you put in an offer for above the market price of a home, the appraiser can come in there and screw up all of your plans. If the appraiser gives a lower appraisal than the purchase price, then you guys are in deep water. Many agents will actually lose deals over this just because the buyer cannot come up with the extra difference if the appraisal is under the purchase price and the seller isn't willing to budge. And obviously for a listing, if you price it way too high, then the property is going to be sitting on there for months on end, and you're not going to get any offers coming in. You're going to have a very, very upset seller, and you're not going to get a commission check. So that's why CMAs are so crucial as a real estate agent. I actually would say that a CMA is one of the most important skills by far that any agent should learn. I've spent a ton of time mastering how to do a CMA because I've learned from appraisers, I've learned from lenders, I've learned from agents that have been doing this for 30 plus years. Me personally, I've closed over 700 deals in my real estate career in just 4 short years. So hopefully I know a thing or two about running an accurate CMA. And believe it or not, it also comes in handy if you're working with landlords, if you have a rental listing, or even if you're working with renters trying to get a tenant into a home. So I'm going to jump on my computer here and I'm going to go step by step on exactly how I do my CMAs. Okay, so as you can see here, I've pulled up on my screen the property that I'm working on today. So I have a buyer and we want to put an offer in for this property. So I needed to do a CMA, and I figured I would actually record it and show everybody exactly how it's done, because most agents do CMAs completely incorrectly. So the very first step, you're going to pull up the subject property. So whatever property that you're putting an offer on, or if you have a listing, pull that property up in your MLS, because you're going to want to look at all of the data for this particular property. Now, the very first thing that I end up looking at is the price per square foot. So guys, look at this over here. You can see that the list price per square foot is $309.52. Now, this is the basis for all of my CMAs, and I rarely ever hear agents talk about this. It is by far the most accurate way to do a CMA, and I'm going to explain why. So you could even see here for this particular property, it was $700,000 and they reduced it by 50 grand. So now it's $650,000. That means that the listing agent or just the seller, whoever actually came up with the wrong price to begin with, and they overpriced the home, and it's been sitting on the market for a while. This particular property has been sitting on the market for 38 days now, which is a very long time, especially in South Florida where I am right now, because the market is still relatively okay. Now, it's not necessarily a crazy buyer or seller's market right now, but there's no reason a property should be sitting this long. If you properly price the house, you're going to get multiple offers very quickly, and you can get a house under contract within days. I haven't had a listing go without getting an offer within the first couple days since I actually learned how to do CMAs and appropriately price homes. And it's the same thing with a buyer. When I've had all of my buyers, I haven't had an appraisal price go under the actual purchase price of a home because I'm accurately putting in offers based on the comps that I run. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to copy the address over here. So basically I'm just copying and pasting the address into a brand new custom search. Now, I already have it in here to save a little bit of time. I'm just going to put Florida right over here, and I'm just going to click on locate. Okay, so I'm going to click on use location. So once you click on use this location, it's going to be pinned onto your map. Now, every MLS should have something similar to this where you can pinpoint the exact address and you can find it on your MLS. Now, the reason why we do this, we do not want to get lazy and we don't want to do just a generic area. You can see over here, I can select the circle tab and just do like a generic area over here, but we don't want to do that, okay? If we do that, let me delete that really quickly. If we do that, it's going to screw up the results, okay? Because you want to have the most accurate possible CMA, and doing that, you're going to have to draw it by hand, okay? So as I zoom in over here, you can see there's a couple active listings, and I always like to start off just looking at the active listings right around the area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it by satellite view. I always like to do it by the neighborhood. So I'm going to actually take my draw polygon tool over here, and I'm going to draw out the entire neighborhood. Now, I'm going to show you what happens if we don't get a lot of results, but I always like to start just from the particular neighborhood. So you can see for this particular property, it's just going to be this neighborhood right over here. Okay, so I just drew out a location and there's only one active listing actually showing up in this particular area. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort it by types, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort it by single family homes. So you can see over here that this property is a single family house. So I only want to look up comps that are single family homes. Now, same thing, if you're doing, let's say, a townhouse or a condo or whatever, you actually have to do it by that type. So as I go back to my results over here, I'm going to further this in by doing the beds and baths. So this is a 3-bed, 2-bath property, and I'm going to do a little bit of square footage as well. I don't want anything really under 1,400 square feet because this property is about 2,100 square feet. So I don't want anything outrageously small when I'm trying to compare these, even though I'm going to show you a cool way how to adjust for square footage. So here's the most important part that you want to do. So you have to actually click on closed listings. That's what a comparable market analysis is. It's the closed listings that have just closed within the past few months. So you can see on my screen here, it says 366 days back. That's like a full year, and we do not want that whatsoever. That is not even close to accurate, especially in a market like we're in right now where everything's constantly changing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in 90 days, okay? So from the appraisers I've talked to, especially the one that taught me to begin with, he said that you only want to go back 3 months, absolute max. You don't want to go back any further than 3 months. Typically, the closest you get to the last actual closing in the comps, that's the best and most accurate comp you could possibly find. So if we can go back, let's say 30 days, that would be even better. But unfortunately, there's 0 closed for 30 days. So then we can try going back 60 days. There's only 1, and that's not great. So we want to go back 90 days. After I go back 90 days, you can see that 2 properties have closed. Now, typically, it is the 3 closest properties that the appraisers run it off of. So we do want to find 1 more property to give an accurate CMA. Now, there's multiple ways to do this. One, I can go back 120 days, which is going to be 4 months, or I can expand the areas a little bit. Okay, so I went back 120 days and still only showing 2 results. So we really don't want to go back past 4 months. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly expand the area. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I just want to look to see if the houses are a similar style and a similar size. So even though this is a different neighborhood, because if we go to the list view over here, you could actually see the subdivision. So the subdivision is Lake Charleston. So we do want to keep it in the Lake Charleston subdivision because you can see that the legal description and the subdivision are both Lake Charleston. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to actually go to the subdivision and type in Lake Charleston. Got to make sure I spelled that correctly, and I'm just going to copy and paste it just in case. Okay, so I got Lake Charleston typed in, and you can see we still have our 2 comps over here. So if I'm going to expand the area now, I'm just going to do it by this neighborhood over here. So this is the same neighborhood right here. And again, I don't want to go too crazy with the location here. So now let me see if I delete the original polygon and just do a larger location. Now nothing's popping up. So let me go a little bit larger of a radius here. So let me do the entire radius over here, and let me see if anything actually pops up. So yes, so now in the Lake Charleston subdivision, we did have a 3rd one pop up, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now look at this, guys. We have 3 comps within 120 days, Actually, I bet you if I go back 90 days, I bet you it's going to be 90. Nope, it's not 90 days. So there you go. Look at that. So now we do have to keep it 120 days. So now what I'm going to try to do is find the price per square foot. So now I'm going to pull up the list view over here, and I'm actually going to look at the days on market, and I'm going to look at the list price per square foot. So you can see these two properties sold within 3 days. That means that they were accurately priced. And you could even see by the list price per square foot and the sold price per square foot that it was actually accurate. Look at that. So 291 and 292. So it was actually very, very accurate. That's why they sold very, very quickly. Now you can see, now I don't think this has much of a correlation because 234 compared to 223, it's only $10 per square foot. So it did stay on the market for 75 days, but I don't think that made that big of an impact. There must have been some other issues with this particular property. So now what I want to do is I want to look at the pictures of the two properties. So I'm going to pull up the pictures of my subject property over here. This is the property that we're putting the offer in for. And I'm just going to briefly look at all the pictures. So this has a pool. And remember guys, if a property has a pool, we're adding anything from $20,000 up to like $60,000. I mean, the average typically is around $40,000 that you want to add for a pool property compared to a non-pool property. So as we're looking at the pictures here, I mean, this property, this is a subject property, remember, it is so gorgeous. I mean, look at the tiles here. Those are upgraded tiles. Those are probably 36-inch tiles, and the kitchen, all quartz countertops. I mean, we're talking all brand new stainless steel appliances. I mean, this property is stunning. So I happen to have talked to the listing agent already and know that they just remodeled and redid the entire house. Now, he gave me a spec sheet of all the actual details of the house, and they did a lot. So as I'm scrolling through the pictures over here, I mean, you could just see how nicely done this property is. Vaulted ceilings. I mean, from the living room, you can actually see the pool. I mean, everything is just soup to nuts, you know, really, really done up. So you could even see here on the picture of the bathroom that they put the tiles up on the wall, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's like a waterfall effect of tiles. So they have a ton of different upgrades going on here. I mean, even the vanities are really, really nice here. I mean, the property is just absolutely stunning. They have a nice walk-in closet, brand new washer and dryer. So yeah, they even have a built-in office over here. I mean, so guys, yeah, this property is great. They even partially finished the garage over here. So that's really gorgeous. Looks like they have epoxy for the flooring on the garage over here, and it is a 2-car garage with a nice big driveway here, and then again you have the pool in the back. I mean, the property is just really, really nice, and this property I believe is fully fenced in as well. I mean, you could just see how much work and effort they put in, and just for the community in general, they have tennis courts, they have pools. I mean, it's just a really nice community overall. So now that we've looked at our subject property, we're going to go back and look at the comparables. So this comparable over here is actually on the exact same road, which is going to be the most accurate comparable we can possibly get because it's in the same neighborhood on the same street. So looking at this, obviously single family house, it's a ranch style, and the floors are a little bit different, but they do look like they're recently installed floors. So the floors do look pretty nice as well. Same vaulted ceiling. I mean, guys, this looks like a very, very similar model. The kitchen isn't as open and the kitchen isn't as nice, but it is still nice. It still has quartz countertops. It still has stainless steel appliances. I mean, the property still looks nice. It just has a little wall over here, and the subject property actually removed that wall. So that was another upgrade, which did make the whole property feel a little bit more opened, and it made it feel a little bit bigger for the square footage. So this one has a little bit older carpets that it looks like to me, but without walking the property, I wouldn't know. And looking at the bathroom, I mean, the bathroom, there's actually a tub that's a built-in tub. It's not a sitting tub, so it's not as nice. And the shower's not as nice as well. So yeah, I mean, the first property, you know, our subject property, I mean, look at this. Even the washer and dryer is a little bit older. So no, this property is not as nice. And here's the thing. It doesn't have a pool in the backyard. So that's a massive major difference. As I said before, we're adding anywhere from $20,000 up to $60,000 on average, about 40 grand, you know, for a pool. So you can see it is a very nice fenced-in backyard, but there's no pool. So now that I looked at this property, I'm going to go back and look at what it actually sold for, price per square foot. Now, we already know that it was listed for $291 and it actually sold for $292 per square foot. So if you take out your calculator over here and you do the math, $292 per square foot times the square footage on this property happens to be 1,800 square feet, and you can see that right over here. Now remember, we're doing living square feet, not square feet total. So this is everything under air. So look at this. So 1814 times 292. and you come up with 529,000, 530,000. If I did the actual cents, it would come up with the exact closing price. So that's why it's very important to go off of square footage. So if we were going to add, let's say, another 30 grand for the pool, because the pool was not that big in this property, I'm going to go back and show you again. I mean, it is a nice pool. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing fancy and crazy. It is really nice. A really nice built-in pool with a hot tub jacuzzi over here, but it's nothing crazy. So I'm going to add about $30,000 for this pool. So I'm going to get to 560,000, and then I'm going to divide that by the square footage, which is 1814. So that's going to come to $308 per square foot. So now, yes, the subject property is a little bit nicer, so you can add a couple dollars more per square foot. So the appraisers aren't going to really value it that much compared to the other homes in the neighborhood. So I'm going to say about $308, maybe $310 per square foot is the absolute max that I would offer for this property. And if I was listing this property, that would be the absolute max I would ever even list it for as well. So now I'm going to go back to the original property and I'm going to find out what it's listed for. So look at this. Right now it's listed at $309 per square foot, which I said is the absolute max that I would ever do if I was listing it or if I was actually going to purchase the home, which we're putting an offer in. And you can see over here why the property has been sitting on the market for 38 days. Look, if I go to the history and I go back and look, you can see that on December 21st, the property was listed for $700,000. So if we do a little math over here, if we do 700,000 divided by 2,100 square feet, we're going to come to $333 per square foot. That was way higher than any of the comps in the area. Guys, look at this. So if I go back to the list view over here, I like doing a list view because it shows all the three comps list price per square foot. So you can see 291, 277, and 234. And you can see the sold price per square foot. That's the one we really want to look at. And nothing was even close to $333 per square foot. That's why the property was sitting there on the market for almost a month and a half. So if you guys learn anything from this video, do not overprice your homes if you have a listing, because then it's going to be sitting on the market forever. And inevitably, you're just going to have to lower the price in the long run anyways. So it's your job as a real estate agent to convince the seller to accurately price the home. It's in everybody's favor. It's in the buyer's favor because then if you guys overprice it and the buyer does somehow agree, your appraisal is going to come in way under the purchase price and the whole deal is most likely going to get screwed up. And if you're the seller, obviously, first of all, you don't want that to happen because then you're going to lose a lot of time if you have to cancel the deal, or you don't want the property to sit on the market forever. You want to get your property sold and you want to get it sold quickly for the best possible price. If it's overpriced, that's not the best price. That just means it's over market value. And as the agent, you don't want to be sitting there and having listings sitting for 2-3 months. That's a bad look on yourself. It means that you don't know how to price properties appropriately. It honestly has nothing to do with marketing. If you overprice a property by too much, like this property was overpriced by about $50,000 minimum, you could do all the marketing in the world, but it's not going to matter. The property's not going to sell because agents like me that know how to run CMAs are going to automatically see this, and you're not going to get an offer that the seller is actually looking for if the property is overpriced. So that's why you can see that this property was reduced by $50,000. Look at this. You could see a price reduction over here, price reduced by $50,000. Okay, so now that we know our price per square foot, that was the manual way of doing it. So like I said before, I wouldn't go over anything over $310, like maximum. 308 was what I came up with the addition of the pool. So if we do the math, yes, it does come out to about $650, which is what the price just got reduced by. So if we take away the factor of the pool, we can see that $292 was the highest sold price per square foot. So if we do the math over here, and we're going to, so 292.17 multiplied by 2,100 square feet, that's the subject property's living square feet, we come up with $613,000. So that's going to be an incredible starting point. Now, you could even start a little bit under that. So if you have a buyer, you might want to even come in at $600,000 just to get the ball rolling. And again, it really just depends on what market you're in. Right now, we're in a market, it's 2024, it's January of 2024 now, and property prices are actually going down. So every single day that the property sits on the market, this price is gonna go even lower. So I feel very comfortable offering $600,000. And now I know in my head, I will never go over $650,000. Even $650,000 is gonna be a stretch. I don't know if the appraiser is gonna value the pool like I valued it for $30,000. So we might not even get the appraised price that we're looking for if we go under contract for $650,000. Do you guys see how this works? And like I said, if you're on the listing side, you probably would have wanted to put the property at a way, way cheaper price. If you had put this up for, let's say, $600,000, you would have gotten multiple offers immediately, and this house would have sold right away. You probably would have created a bidding war and had multiple buyers bidding on the exact same house, as opposed to having it up for $100,000 over what you should have listed it for when it sat in the market and probably gotten 0 offers. You could have gotten multiple offers, created a bidding war, and had this house sold. So are you guys seeing how important that a CMA is right now for buyers and for sellers? And I'm going to show you for rentals as well shortly. So that's just one subject property. Now you can do this for the other 3 subject properties as well. So if you go and look at this property over here, again, I'm going to go and look at the details. I'm going to go and look at the photos just to see what the actual property looks like. So you can instantly see these are old floors. So this house was built in 1994, and you can see it by the photos over here. These are original tiles, okay? So instantly I know that this house probably hasn't had much work done to it, is my estimate. You could even see over here in this picture, there's uneven tiles. Look at this, guys. This is different tiles than over here to the right. Okay, and I'm looking at the rest of them. I mean, listen, the house is decent, you know. They put some granite, looks like granite countertops. They put some stainless steel appliances, but the kitchen is closed off, you know, and, you know, people really like an open style kitchen, so this kitchen isn't really ideal. It looks a little bit small. Bathroom looks decent over here. That looks like the half bath, and washer and dryer are nice. That's okay. So this one's not a ranch and has 2 floors on it. Looks like they did the flooring. Looks like they put vinyl flooring on the upstairs bedrooms, and there's actually popcorn ceilings too. So I don't know if you guys can see this. So guys, there's actually popcorn ceilings over here. So if I were to zoom in, you could actually see that there's popcorn ceilings, which is less than ideal. Okay, so as I keep scrolling, you could see it's an outdated bathroom as well. I mean, that's a very, very outdated bathroom too. And it was a very similar style than the last one that we looked at, but it just hadn't been redone. This property does have a pool, which is interesting, but is a very, very tiny pool. So this is a small pool. So this is absolutely not going to add $30,000 of value. This is going to be negligible because of how small it is. Maybe $10,000, like, you know, really, and that's kind of pushing it at this point because that's a very, very tiny pool. It does have a decent sized backyard though. So guys, now that we looked at the pictures, we're going to go back and look at the list price per square foot. Now this one did sell for $277 per square foot. Now, as you get a little bit higher in the square footage, you can see this one's 2,111 square feet compared to 1,800 square feet. Sometimes you will actually get a reduction in price per square foot. You could even see that happening over here when this third comp is 2,600 square feet and it sold for $223 per square foot. So I'm going to show you a cool little trick where we can automatically adjust per square footage as well. So now if you take the average price per square foot, you can multiply 292.17 and let's just add that to 277.11. And then let's add that to 223.4. Now we've come up with 792. Let's divide it by 3. Now your average price per square foot sold is $264 for our most accurate 3 comps in the past 120 days. And remember I said before, we really only want to go back 3 months, but we didn't have a choice because these were our closest 3 comps in the past 4 months. So now finding 264 as our average and knowing that we have a pool, we can actually multiply 264 times 2,100 square feet. That's our subject property over here, as you can tell, which is 2,100 square feet. So what we're gonna come up with is 554,000. So that would be the average price per square foot, and that would be the average sale price of the home. Now, obviously this price does not reflect our subject property over here because this property is significantly nicer. It has a pool. The lot size is even bigger. I mean, it would not be 554,000. That would not be accurate. And I can show you guys too on the third comp that I found as well. So if I look at this one, yeah, I mean, you could see right now that the property is not updated. I mean, look at it, this is probably original cabinets, original flooring. I mean, the flooring might possibly be new because typically they're going to be tile flooring back in the 90s. So that could be new flooring, but it is a cheaper flooring. I mean, yeah, this property is nothing that special. You can see the bathrooms, haven't really been redone. I mean, maybe one time that they retiled the master bathroom over here, but yeah, guys, it's nothing special. It's nothing fancy. I mean, again, it's got popcorn ceiling over here. Yeah, it's just not a great property, in terms of being remodeled. So again, doesn't have a pool in the backyard as well, and kind of a smaller lot size. So yeah, that's why this property only went for $223 per square foot. So it's not really accurate to compare to our subject property, the property that we're putting the offer on. But it is our job to get an average price. So I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? So I just showed you how to do it manually and how we came up with our $650,000 max price and our actual offer price of $600,000. But look at this. This is how you do it automatically. So you're going to select your 3 comps over here, okay? We're going to go and do our automatic CMA by clicking CMA results over here, and we're going to use all selected. So we're going to run a full CMA, and we're going to adjust it by square feet living, okay? So what I'm going to do over here, I'm just going to make it out for, my client's name, and I'm going to go and click on next over here. None of that's really important. Now we do actually want to compare this to our subject property. So I'm going to go and auto-populate this from the existing listing, and I'm going to type in the RX or FX number. So once I do that, it's going to auto-populate the subject property, and then I'm going to click on next. And then you're going to see our 3 comparables that we pulled before. Now I'm going to click next one more time. Then I'm going to click on square feet living. So remember I said before that we have a cool tool in your MLS that you can automatically adjust per square footage. Well, I'm going to do that now. So I click on square feet living, and I'm going to click on auto adjust comparable. I'm going to click on OK. We do want to proceed, and it's going to tell me that 3 adjustments were added to your CMA. So when we do that now, we're going to click on next over here because it just automatically adjusted the 3 values over here. So you can see that the price actually went up. So I'm going to click on next again, and you can see all of the adjustments that were made. So this one, because the property was a little bit bigger, this one actually took off a little bit, 1,474. This one took off 72,000, and this one added 38,000. So now this is going to actually show you the low price, the average price, the median price, which is like the middle price, and the high price. So now I'm going to go to the next screen over here. Well, actually, really quick. So you can see the average sold price per square foot was $264.23. That's exactly what we came up with before, and I did that manually. So now you see how important square feet is. Even when doing it automatically, this is what they use in the systems. This is what the appraisers use as well. You can even see the average days on market, and that's really important as well, finding out how long a property's been sitting on the market for. I mean, it shows you everything here too. Average square foot living, it was $21.89. It shows you the average sale for the list price. So this is 98% basically, meaning that if the property was, let's say, listed at $100,000, it would sell on average for 98% of that, which would have been $98,000. I'm just using a very, very easy example that is really easily understandable. And then it'll obviously show you the average sold price, which, guys, we came up with this before, $568,333. So now I'm going to click on next again, and it's going to show me a recommended price, okay? It's going to show me the high price again, low price again, and a recommended price. Now, this is only recommending $556,000. That's why these aren't really that accurate, because I looked at all of the pictures before, and there's no way that this subject property would sell for $556,000. That's way too low. Remember, it has the pool. It has all of the upgrades. I mean, it has a bigger lot size. There's no way. That's just way too low. That's why you can't always accurately rely on these automatic CMAs. That's why you have to be able to do it manually, just like I taught you a moment ago. So we can go and click on next, and it's going to pull up the entire CMA, and we can go and click on view over here. We could even email it to our client. So if you're working with a buyer, you would email it to your buyer. If you are working with a seller, you would email it to your seller. And again, what I do though, after I email this, if it's not accurate, like this was not accurate whatsoever, I'm gonna go and send them my manual CMA with everything I just broke down before. So scrolling through the CMA over here, I mean, you can see that all the stuff that we looked at, all the data is right here for you. So you can accurately go and talk to your buyer or seller about the price of the home now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my seller something separate, and I'm just going to send it in an email to them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my recommended pricing. Okay. So what I'm going to do for my buyer is I'm going to put the address of the property. Then I'm going to put the price per square foot that was the most recent comp that was similar. And I'm going to put the price that it sold for per square foot. Then I'm going to do about $20,000, $30,000 for the pool. So I'm going to add that on in addition. And then I'm going to put a little bit of notes. So I'm going to say something like, our house that we're looking at right now, it was a little bit more renovated and it might have been over improved a little bit for the comps. That's why it was such a high price. So I might write something like that in there. And obviously I'm going to have a discussion with them on the phone about this. And then I'm just going to put in my recommended offer number for the absolute max. So my max would be $650,000. I'm going to say that's the max I would ever recommend. I don't think any appraisal is going to appraise for over that price. And then I would say my actual recommended offer price, which is going to be about $600,000. That's what I'm going to recommend for this property is $600,000. So I'm going to send this all to my buyer that I'm working with now. So once I have that discussion with my buyer, then we're going to put the offer in. Did you guys see how easy that was? Now, once you actually learn this is going to be very, very important whether you're working with a seller or whether you're working with a buyer. Now, if you're working with a seller, you're going to do this before you even go to your listing appointment. Listen, guys, you do not want to be blowing smoke up sellers' butts, okay? Because if you do and you overprice a property, the exact same thing is going to happen like I just showed you before. The property is going to be sitting on the market for months on end, and you're eventually just going to have to lower the purchase price. So don't try and be a hero and say, oh, I can get you this much and get you that much. That's not realistic. Run an accurate CMA, comparable market analysis, and then go in there and give the seller the truth. I'm telling you right now, if you're honest with the seller and you even tell them, hey, I'm sure you've had multiple listing appointments and everybody's been coming in here and saying they can get you this price and get you that price, but it's just not accurate. I ran the comps. This is exactly how they're supposed to be done. If you don't want your property sitting on the market for multiple months on end, not getting any offers or getting like super, super lowball offers, and it's just going to make the property look bad because the longer a property sits on the market for, people think that there's something actually wrong with it. So you really, really, really do not want to do that. That's the last thing that you want is a property sitting on the market for months. You're going to scare away many potential buyers. So just price out the property appropriately the first time and you're going to get a higher offer price right away because it's going to be a brand new listing. Especially if you price it a little bit under market value, you're going to get multiple offers coming in because everybody's going to be running the same comps, if they know how to run a comp the right way, and they're going to be saying, wow, this is actually cheaper than fair market value right now. Let's go over a little bit more. That's why when I have a listing, I always do a really, really cool strategy. So I actually do not allow the house to be sold until the day of the open house. Let's say I list a property on a Wednesday and all of a sudden I say, no, you cannot see the house until Saturday at 12 o'clock. I'll run an open house from 12 to 3. This way we'll get a whole bunch of buyers that come to the open house and everybody's going to see each other there. They're going to get a sense of urgency that, wow, there's a lot of people that are interested in this home. So when they go and put an offer on the property, as long as it's a little bit below market value, then they're going to believe you when you say, well, we have multiple offers right now and, why don't you just send us your highest and best? Then you're actually going to get a little bit higher of a price than you actually listed the house for. This is a strategy that I have been using for years now and it works every single time. I get offers immediately on all of my houses. If you guys want me to do a full video on how I do my open houses and how I actually get my listings rented super, super fast, drop a comment below and let me know. A big part of it is doing the CMAs though, because that's where you have to start. You got to get the purchase price of the home of what you think or what you know it's actually going to sell for before you can can do anything. And then again, if you have a buyer that you're working for, you don't want to just be blindly offering something that the listing agent priced the house at. As you can see here, let's say I was a brand new agent and I saw this price was $700,000 and I didn't know how to accurately run a CMA. Well, if I had given the information to my buyers that, oh yeah, well the price is fine, 700,000 looks good to me, right? Has a pool, really, really nice looking. Yeah, sure, let's go in for 700,000. We would have been in a tricky situation because first of all, they would have paid way more for the house. They would have been underwater instantly upon closing. And second of all, the appraiser would have came in here. He would have run these comps exactly like I just did right now and been like, are they out of their mind? I'm not appraising this house for 700,000. I'm going to appraise it for 600,000. And we would have had a $100,000 gap, which would have been insurmountable. There is no way at that point that the seller's going to come down 100 grand, and there's no way the buyer's going to come up 100 grand. Even meeting in the middle at 50,000, that would have been unreasonable and for a lot of buyers, impossible. The mortgage doesn't cover anything over the appraised price. So if the appraised price was $600,000, it's not going to cover anything over $600,000. So let's say it did sell for $700,000, you're a newbie agent and you didn't know what you were doing, you would have been $100,000 over what the bank, the lender, would actually loan because of the appraised value. There are so many reasons why CMAs are important. So I really, really hope that you guys learned a lot from this video. If there's anything that you think I missed on CMAs or have any questions whatsoever, just drop a comment below and I would be more than happy to answer them for you. And in the meantime, I'm going to run a quick little CMA on a rental property just to show you guys how it works for a rental as well. Okay guys, so I'm just going to do a random CMA for a rental property. So let's just say I was going to get this listing and I had to come up with the price that the home is going to rent for. So just like I showed you before for the price of a purchase property, look, all you got to do is copy the address over here. Okay, so this is just a random address for a rental. I'm just showing you guys comps how to run it for a rental right now. And you go into a brand new quick custom search, okay? So again, we're gonna click on the little location tab. We're gonna click on Cloud Lake Circle over here. We're gonna type in Boca Raton, and then we're gonna do the state of Florida. I don't think it's really necessary to put the zip code in and just click on locate, okay? I'm gonna click on use this location over here. I always like going into satellite view. I just like knowing, if the comps look comparable or not, because again, we don't want to do condos, we don't want to do townhomes, if we're doing a single family house, or vice versa. We don't want to do single families if we're actually running comps on a townhome. So this comp over here, this is actually going to be a single family house. So I'm going to run comps only on single family homes. So again, I'm going to go and do my search for single family homes, and I'm going to do the entire neighborhood over here, okay? So you could even see, judging by the roofs over here, this is a completely different neighborhood to the right, so I don't want to do that neighborhood, okay? So I'm just going to select this entire neighborhood. Now, it actually looks like it spans all the way up to Spanish Isle Boulevard. So it's not just this half over here. This community goes both sides, and you can see by the roofs how the roofs are almost identical. So it's probably the same builder, same subdivision, and if we go and look, I'm sure it's the exact same subdivision. So let's see over here. It's Boca Landings, okay? So now if I go and look, I'm sure all the comps in here are going to be Boca Landings. And yes, they are. Boca Landings, which is absolutely fine. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to go back to my search over here. And look at this. So these are for the active listings. Now, yeah, you could see, what's active right now, just compare what's active on the market. That's always something good to check just to see, but it's not really that important because you want to see what actually closed. And now you might be wondering, well, what about pending deals or active deals under contract? And again, if you're curious, you can look and see what's under contract now, but typically this could be a different price than what it actually closed for. So in your MLS, typically when somebody has a listing, whatever price that it's listed for, if they put it pending or active under contract, it's not going to really give you the option, or typically it's not going to give you the option to actually list the price of what it's under contract for, only when it closes. So that's why we really do not want to use active under contract or pending. We only want to stick to closed because that's what it actually closed for, what it sold for, or what it rented for. So again, I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to click on closed. And no, we don't want to do 366 days. We want to do 90 days. And we want to pull our last 3 properties in the last 90 days. So this one happens to have 2, unfortunately. So I'm going to go back 4 months and no, we didn't find anything for 4 months. So let me go back 160 days. Hopefully, yep, there we go. So if I go back 160 days, we have 3 properties that have closed in this neighborhood, and unfortunately that's kind of what we have to do because we're trying to compare apples to apples here. So now I'm going to pull up the list of my 3 comps over here, and we can see that one rented for $2,750, one rented for $4,500, and one rented for $3,550. So now this one's very, very tiny. It's a 2-bedroom, 900 square feet, so that's not accurate whatsoever. The rental price per square foot was $3.21 here, very, very high. And this one was $2.44 price per square foot, and this was $1.89. So a big, big difference over here. Okay, guys, so you can see our original price here was not $3,450, it was $3,500, and still a little bit high because this one's actually been on the market for about a month and a half now. So I'm gonna go and look at the price per square foot, and you can see it's $3.05, which seems like a lot because if I go back over here, I mean, there's nothing that really went for $3.05 except for this really, really tiny 2-bedroom house. So it's not accurate at all. So you can see it's not really that accurate. So I want to run an automatic comparable first. So I'm going to click on all of my results and go to CMA, use all results that I have selected. And then I'm going to do a full comparable market analysis based on square footage. So I'm just going to put a made up name over here, and I'm going to click on next over here. And then I still want to go and populate the data from my pre-existing listing over here, my subject property. So I'm going to automate it over here, click on submit, and then it's going to populate all of my data from my subject property that I'm trying to run the comps for. So then I'm going to click on next, and then I'm going to go over to square feet living, and I'm going to adjust automatically by square feet living. So this one's actually not working for being adjusted for the price per square foot, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to click on next, and I'm just going to have to do this manually. So you guys can see this over here. It's still going to give me a low, an average, a median, and a high price. So the average price being $3,600 from the 3 comps that we ran, okay? And the average sold or, rented price per square foot was $2.44. And average days on market was 52 days. So kind of a lot. And the average list price was, the average sold price was $3,600. We don't really care about the list price that much. We care about the sold price. So it was $3,600. So that's why when you go back and look at this property over here, they put it up for $3,450. Now I can see why they actually put it up for $3,450 because that's kind of what the comps have dictated if you just run it automatically. But again, this is not really adjusting per square footage. So this property's been on the market for a while now. It's been on the market for almost 2 months. I mean, it's a smaller house. It's only 1,132 square feet. So, for me, I'm going to go and check the photos really quick. And yeah, it's decent. I mean, quartz countertops, they put the vinyl flooring in, but you can tell popcorn ceiling. I mean, the rooms look a little bit small. I mean, it's a 3-bedroom and it's only 1,100 square feet. It's got a smaller backyard over here. I mean, guys, this pool was a community pool, by the way, so it doesn't even have a pool. And to me, this is insanely overpriced, Like, I specialize in rentals and I do a lot of rentals, and there's no way that this property should be $3,400. If it had a really nice pool and was a little bit bigger, that's okay, $3,500, no problem. But so if I return back to my results over here, you can see that this home that was 900 square feet, yes, it was only a 2-bed, 2-bath, it closed for $2,750. Now, if I go back over here to my comparable, this is a 3-bedroom and a 2-bath. This one's 1,132 square feet, and you can tell it's only about 200 square feet bigger. So there's no reason for this one to go for $3,450. If this was my listing, I would tell the seller, hey, there's no way we're gonna get over $3,000 for this property. If you want to get it rented really fast, we can go in really, really low. We could do something like $2,800. We'll get multiple offers. We could do something like $2,900. Get multiple offers. And if, we really want to rent it in a week or so, we could probably do $3,000 and the property would rent relatively quickly for $3,000. That's the price that I would recommend on this property, was about $3,000 based on the comps and based on, everything that I'm seeing here. So if you look at the next comp over here, I mean, this one went for $4,500 and this one's a lot bigger, guys. I mean, this is a much bigger home. I mean, it's 2 stories. It's got a private pool, and this one went for $4,500. I mean, look at this house right now compared to our comparable house over here, the subject property. Look at it, guys. I mean, it's night and day. This one's tiny. This one's a lot smaller. It's not as redone. It doesn't have a pool. Way smaller lot size, a lot smaller square footage. I mean, there's just no reason, it should be anywhere close to this property over here. And then the one that rented for $3,500, you can can see that this one's even nicer too. I mean, look at the bathrooms over here. Kitchen, not so much. I gotta say, they did put in new appliances, but older granite countertops. And yeah, this one's not that great either. Older flooring, mismatched flooring here. I'll be honest, guys, I have no clue how this went for $3,500. I think this was a fluke. Now, this could have been somebody that was really desperate and maybe they had, bad credit or something. I don't really know, exactly what situation happened. I'm just theorizing here, but there's no way in my mind that this one even should have went for 30. So that's why they probably listed it for $3,450, but it's been on the market. So, yeah, I don't think, but look, guys, and if I go back and check, it was on the market for 90 days. So this one that went for $3,550 was on the market for 90 days, 3 months. That means that the owner of this property just lost a massive amount of money. They lost 3 months worth of rent. Even at $3,000, they lost $9,000. I mean, do the math on that. If they just lost $9,000 for that amount of time, if they had priced the house at $3,000, they could have actually made money because they would have rented it out right away. If they put it at $3,000 for this property or even this property over here, they would have actually rented it out probably within a week or so, and that was probably being generous. They probably could have rented it out within a few days, or at least gotten offers within a few days. And this way, they would have saved themselves $9,000. So after 1 year out the property, if they had done it for $3,000 compared to $3,500, yes, if they waited 3 months, they would have gotten $3,500 for the property, meaning in a 1 year time period, they would have gotten about $500 extra per month. So that's about $6,000 extra for the year that they would have gotten, but they still would have lost $3,000 as opposed to just listing the property for $3,000. So they still lost $3,000 in the long run. And as an agent, your property was just sitting on the market for 3 months. So if you're wondering how I came up with my $3,000 price point, that's exactly how for a rental. Now, running comps on rentals is a little bit more guesswork like I just did right there. There's no exact formulas for running comps on rentals because rentals can go up and down, and you can see over here, they couldn't even adjust for the square footage. So you're just gonna have to use your best judgment when running comps for rentals. You have to basically take the days on market, you have to take the average price per square foot. You got to take all these things into consideration, like the sold price. You got to take into consideration the list price. You got to look at the pictures of the property, whether it has a pool or not, whether it's been redone or not, the size of the actual house, the lot size of the house, whether the amenities are really nice or not. You got to take all these things into consideration, just like I did here to come up with my price. So if I were to list this property, the subject property that we're running the comps on, I would tell the landlord, hey, we got to put it up for $3,000. Otherwise, it's going to be sitting on the market for 90 days and you're going to end up losing $3,000 in the long run, right? Yeah, maybe somebody will pay $3,300, $3,400 for it, but it's going to be sitting there for 3 months and you're going to end up losing more money. And then if I had a renter, let's say that was just looking at this property, I would say, no, we're not going to offer $3,450 because we know that this is going to be sitting on the market for a long, long time. So we can come in at $3,000 and we could even tell them, hey, sit on it for a week or so. If you don't get any other offers, come back to us. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you really liked learning about CMAs and how important they are, either if you have a buyer, if you have a seller going on a listing presentation, if you have a renter that you're working with. Regardless of what you're doing as a real estate agent, a CMA is one of the most important tools and skills that you can learn as a real estate agent. Mastering CMAs will set you apart from 99% of the agents out there that have no clue how to. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch everybody in the next one. All right, that was pretty good, not bad.